Welcome everyone to the first online live streaming concert of the Crescent City Chamber Music Festival. This is being recorded 100% live. We are not doing a pre-recorded thing that we release later on. We thought about doing that, but we had so many of our supporters tell us that they really love the idea of being able to watch and experience truly live music making. So here it is, blemishes and all. We are going to be playing for you tonight a wonderful program called Death and Transfiguration. I really hope there are people who have joined in, but just in case you have to leave, or you're joining us late, or you're wanting to watch this performance again, we will leave this up on Facebook and on YouTube indefinitely. So you'll be able to watch it next week or next month if you want. So that's one of, I guess, the COVID silver linings here. What we're doing right now, though, what I'm doing, I should say, is a pre-concert talk, which during our festival in normal times we also have for our Friday night concerts, where I just talk a little bit about the pieces on the program tonight and kind of give people a sense of the story behind the pieces, why I've programmed them, and why I've put the program together the way I have. And just something to listen for in the concert, especially because I imagine the pieces on tonight's programs are not ones that most of our listeners are familiar with. So anyway, and I should introduce myself too, sorry. My name is Luke Fleming. I'm the founding artistic director of the Crescent City Chamber Music Festival, and I will also be playing viola tonight, but pre-concert talk, I don't have my fiddle up here with me. I'm just going to be talking to you. So I will go in concert order. There are 3 pieces on tonight's program. The first is by a composer named Paul Hindemith. He's a German composer, and in his own lifetime he was well known, famous as a composer. He lived mostly in the early to mid 20th century, but he was probably more well known as a viola soloist. He was a great viola virtuoso. Myself being a violist, of course, I've known about Paul Hindemith for a long time. But he was also a very prolific composer. And he was German, as I said, but he was doing a concert tour, and he was booked to perform in the BBC Proms in London with the London Symphony Orchestra. So pretty big gig, and he was playing an English viola concerto by a fellow composer named William Walton. It's a big, virtuoso viola concerto. But what happened was, the night before he was supposed to perform, the king, who was king before the current Queen of England, Elizabeth, this was her father, died, and it plunged the whole nation into national mourning for the loss of their king. And so the concert was promptly canceled. I can tell you that we as musicians are getting used to having our concerts canceled. Back when all the COVID stuff came to a head in March, there were a few days where I had, I think, 15 concerts canceled in the space of 2 days. It was pretty depressing to see your entire livelihood go away. So I don't know, when I was thinking about this piece, I was thinking about how Hindemith, saw this big concert of his canceled, but then what wound up happening was they decided that they wanted to go on with having a concert, but they wanted it to be appropriate for the death of the monarch. And so they asked Hindemith, since they knew he was a composer, they said, "Can you write something to play tomorrow? Can you just toss something off?" Probably not realizing how difficult it is to compose. And so Hindemith said, "Sure." The next day, he spent 5 hours uninterrupted, just sitting at his desk, writing a piece for viola and string orchestra. And he composed it and took it to rehearsal with the London Symphony. And they sat down and rehearsed it, and then played it in the concert that night. And he titled it Trauermusik, which means funeral music or music of mourning. It's a very short work, as you might imagine, for something written in 5 hours. It's largely tonal, so I think it's very accessible in general. It starts this kind of funeral march sort of movement, and the second movement picks things up a little, and the third movement has some angst and is the fastest of the movements. And then the last movement, and I should say the piece is only about 8 minutes total. So the second movement, for example, is only 45 seconds long, and they're all connected. But the last movement is really the heart of the work. Hindemith chose a chorale written by Johann Sebastian Bach to have the orchestra play, and at every cadence in that chorale, the solo viola does what sounds like an improvisation on top of it. It's not, it is written out and composed, but it is meant to sound like an improvisation. But the chorale that he chose translates, the words translate to, here I stand at the throne of my maker. So it's a person who has died and ascended to heaven, making it especially appropriate for the occasion. And I actually didn't plan this. Normally I do plan pretty meticulously things in these programs, but it turns out that every one of these programs has a piece of text or poetry that factors into the composition, and that is how this happens with Trauermusik. But as I said, very short work, 8 minutes max, and just, I think, very appropriate to the theme we're talking about tonight, death and transfiguration. So moving on with the next piece, we have written by Andrea Casarrubios, who is a wonderful cellist, member of the ensemble in residence for this festival, the Manhattan Chamber Players, and she will be performing on many of our, or on all of our 4 concerts that we're doing online this season. But Andrea is also a wonderful composer. And when I decided to invite Andrea to come and play with us this year here in New Orleans, and it's her first time in New Orleans, by the way, I also asked her if she would be willing, if we could play some of her music, and also if she would write a piece for the festival, which she has done. We won't play that piece tonight. We'll be playing that on the final concert, the series finale, which is on Sunday, October 11th. We will premiere this new work by Andrea, which also happens to be based on a chorale by Bach. But I'm going to have Andrea come to the stage right now and tell you a little bit about the piece that's second on tonight's program, Liberty Rose Weeping, and she will say that title in Spanish and sound much better doing it than I will. But she's going to tell you a little bit about that piece. So, Andrea?
Thank you, Luke.
Sure.
So, the piece that I wrote for violin and cello, it's called La Libertad se Levantó Llorando, which in English means liberty rose weeping. Liberty rose as in rose up from the ground weeping. The title comes from a poem by Pablo Neruda, and I used a fragment of that poem, which is about the Spanish Civil War, in the middle of the piece as part of the music while we're playing. You will hear the words in Spanish, and you will also hear right now, in a second, the translation in English so that you get an idea of what this is about. The music is filled with the strength and the intensity, and also the vulnerability of those words, and it evokes a sense of freedom and many times the lack of freedom. It's also very appropriate and significant for us to play this duo right now during the pandemic, because when I wrote this music, I was thinking about what happens in a crisis, in a moment of real complexity at many levels, and that some positive change and understanding can come out of it. And so in the music at the end, you'll hear this very intimate, beautiful melodies sort of weeping and coming down to the ground. I hope you enjoy this duo, and I will let Luke read to you the English translation of the text.
Clearly, Andrea's English is perfectly fine, and I do not need to be the one doing this, but Andrea wanted me to read the poem, so I will. It is a beautiful poem. So it goes, Liberty rose weeping along the roads, shouted in the corridors of the houses, In the countryside, her voice passed between orange and wind, calling for ripe-hearted men. And you came, and here you are, the chosen sons of victory, many times fallen, your hands many times blotted out, broken the most hidden bones, your mouths stilled, pounded to destruction your silence. But you surged up suddenly, in the midst of the whirlwind, again, others, all your unfathomable, your burning race of hearts and roots. It's a beautiful work. Really happy that Andrea is here and happy we're able to play her piece tonight. Again, we'll premiere a new work of hers on our series finale concert, our season finale concert on Sunday, October 11th. So let me tell you a little bit about the final piece on the program, which is by far the longest and biggest work on the program. It's by a composer named Arnold Schoenberg, who was active towards the end of the 19th century and well into the 20th century. His music changed a lot over the course of his lifetime. We often talk about music of the 20th century and 21st century as being either tonal or atonal. And the way that a layperson might interpret that is how dissonant it sounds to them. If it sounds consonant to their ears, like, I hate to use a word just like pretty, but that's kind of how we think of it. Like Mozart is a tonal composer. Brahms, Dvorak, all these composers that we think of writing beautiful music. And that's not to say that atonal music is not beautiful, but to our ears it is more jarring and it doesn't resonate in the same way. So in any case, Schoenberg really bridges that transition from tonality to atonality. And the piece that we're going to play of his tonight, entitled Verklärte Nacht, or Transfigured Night, is really emblematic of that transition. The work can really be broken up into two equal sections, as is the poem on which it's based. The first section is, for the most part, quite atonal and angst-filled, and it reflects the poem, which I'm going to explain to you in a moment. And the second half is just beautiful and lush and tonal and quite stunningly gorgeous. The piece, Verklärte Nacht, is one of the pillars of the chamber repertoire. I guarantee you ask pretty much any chamber musician, career chamber musician like myself, what's your favorite piece? They will all say to you, I can't tell you a favorite. But if you ask for their top 5, Verklärte Nacht will likely be in there. It's a wonderful work, and we actually played it here at the festival 2 seasons ago, and I normally wouldn't program it again quite so soon, but it just seemed so appropriate for the theme that we were talking about tonight. And often during COVID, we've been talking about having something good come out of something that seems so bad, which is, I think, a theme we all love to think of as having meaning right now. And that is certainly the case with the poem that this piece is based on. The poem is by an expressionist composer named Richard Demel, and it's written in 2 parts, basically. The first few stanzas, or the first part, I'll read just a little bit of it to you. This is not the full poem, but 2 people walk through the bleak, chill woods. The moon goes with them, and they gaze within. So, from the beginning of the piece, you have the sense of 2 people slowly walking together in this dark night, and the music becomes much more intense and angst-filled, and you get the sense of the if you've ever seen expressionist art, like these jagged edges and gnarly branches and maybe like the sounds of wild animals, it sounds very frightening at times, this music. And what happens is the woman eventually speaks to the man and admits to him that she is carrying a child, and the child is not his. So the woman has sinned in her mind, and she is. The next stanza just talks about how fraught she is with terror that the man is going to reject her as a result, and scorn her and toss her away. And when the man speaks, this is the second half of the piece, about 15 minutes in. It's a 30-minute piece. So about 15 minutes in, the man speaks, and rather than a condemnation, rather than a admonishment of this woman and her sin. He rather says, "The child that you have conceived, let it be no burden to your soul. Behold how clear the universe shimmers. A radiance is all about. You drift with me on a frigid sea, and yet a singular warmth flickers." So this man loves this woman so much that he has instantly forgiven her transgression, and says, essentially, how can you be sad or upset when all this beauty is around us? And the poem entitled Transfigured Night, the final lines of the poem go, "Two people walk," as the poem begins, "two people walk," but instead, "two people walk in the high illumined night." So Transfigured Night. As I said, one of the true pillars of the chamber repertoire, just an amazing piece, and one we're, needless to say, extremely excited to play for you. So that's the program. Normally, at this point in the pre-concert talk, I would take questions. There might be some about what I've said, but I can't really do that. I'll tell you, we're at Felicity Church right now. All the musicians are downstairs and warming up, and it's an empty performance space here. It's a beautiful performance space, and we're so grateful to Chris Jones, who runs Felicity Church here, for letting us into this beautiful space. We'll be performing in these spaces that we've used for the festivals before for the remaining 3 concerts of our online series this year. Temple Sinai will be on Sunday, and then we'll play in St. Charles Avenue Presbyterian a week from today on October 9th. And then for the series finale concert, we will do it, as we always do, at Rain Memorial United Methodist Church. And I'll be talking about that a little more during the concert. That's not really part of the pre-concert talk portion here, but I just wanted to mention where we were and what's going on. So I will take one more moment to mention the performers for this evening. All 4 of our concerts feature our ensemble in residence, the Manhattan Chamber Players, which is a chamber music collective based in New York City, as the name would suggest. They have all come down here, having received and provided documentation of negative COVID tests. We're all quarantining together during this festival. And for our, as many of you know, the heart of this festival is our outreach work that we do in the city. Last year we played 6 public concerts, but 36 outreach performances in hospitals and nursing homes, senior care centers, homeless shelters, schools, all across the city. When I was planning this year's festival, I was a bit stymied as to what to do about that, but it turned out that the aides and the activities coordinators at these nursing homes and senior care centers and teachers in schools were so enthusiastic about coordinating ways for us to do these interactive performances for their patients through things like Zoom, streamed on a TV, with a connector cable and all these things. Everyone was really just happy to make it work, and it really is so much more meaningful than just watching a pre-recorded concert. If you wanted to do that, you could just go to YouTube and watch a performance of Verklärte Nacht, right? So that is another reason why what we're bringing you tonight is 100% live, happening right now, unless of course you watch it next week, it'll stay up. But I'm here doing this recording live in this sanctuary, and that's what's going out into the world. And I really want you to know that we're doing that for a reason, because live music is important not just to us musicians who haven't been able to play for audiences in 6 months, and that's our entire job, but also for people to be able to hear music created and played with new ideas, fresh takes on things, even a piece that's been played as many times as Verklärte Nacht. So this concert is 100% live. The performers, I'm not going to list each of them individually. Anyway, there's no need to do that, because you can go to our website, CrescentCityChamberMusicFestival.com, and all the information on the programs is listed there on each individual event, with who's playing violin, who's playing viola and cello, and you can click on a link to read their bios and all that stuff, since I can't hand you a program right now. But all of that information is on our website, and if you're watching on YouTube, then it should be in the description on the YouTube Live that you're watching right now. And I'll say one more thing, and then I'll go join my colleagues, and we'll get tuned up and get out on stage to make some music for you. And that is, as always, our festival, Crescent City Chamber Music Festival, runs entirely on donations from generous people such as our list of supporters this year. Our list of supporters is posted on our website as well, and it has made it possible for us to do this year. And in some ways, it's even more meaningful. The musicians downstairs are all on unemployment. They haven't played concerts in months. It's their entire livelihood. And for us to have been able to raise the funds to bring them here and to house them, to feed them, and to pay them a fee, it has more meaning now than it has in the past because it's been so long for some people since they've had that. And Siwoo Kim, one of our violinists this evening, was telling me that it makes us feel like what we do is of value. And that is really important, I think, to anyone to feel like what you do for work is of value. So thank you to all our supporters. If you haven't supported us or would like to look into that, please visit crescentcitychambermusicfestival.com/donate, or you can go to our website and there's a donate button, and that'll tell you how to donate online or through the mail. We are a 501c3, so it's 100% tax deductible, and we very, very much appreciate your support. I'm going to say a thank you at the front of this concert. I'll say a few more thank yous at the end, but big thank you to the grants that we have received this year from New Orleans Theater Association, or NOTA. Would not have been possible without them. The Mike and Lynn Coatney Family Foundation, also a grant from them, and from the MoCA Foundation. Those are our 3 grants this year that have helped make this possible, as well as the individual contributions I mentioned before. So, we have our concert, which is slated to begin at 7:30. It is now 7:22. So, go refill your cocktail glass or pour yourself another glass of wine. I'm going to go tune up and get the musicians, and we will come up here and play for you at 7:30. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and it's just such a pleasure to play for you, even though you're not here with us in person. Thank you very much.
gritó en los corredores de las casas. En las campiñas su voz pasaba entre naranja y viento, llamando hombres de pecho negro. Me acudisteis, y aquí estáis. Preferidos hijos de la victoria, muchas veces caídos, muchas veces voladas vuestras manos, rotos los más ocultos cartílagos, calladas vuestras bocas, machacado hasta la destrucción vuestro silencio. Pero surgís de pronto, en medio del torbellino, otra vez, otros, toda vuestra deshonorable, vuestra quemadura raza de corazones y raíces.
thank you again to all of you who tuned in this evening to our concert, the season opener concert of the Crescent City Chamber Music Festival. Luke Fleming, artistic director of the Crescent City Chamber Music Festival. We had Brendan Speltz, Siwoo Kim, Milena Pajaro-van Stadt, Jacob Fowler, Brook Speltz, Manhattan Chamber players playing Schoenberg's Verklärte Nacht. If you missed any of this concert, you can rewind on YouTube or Facebook, however you're watching, to enjoy the rest of the performance. The pre-concert talk, if you want to know anything more about these pieces. For details on the performers and the pieces, you can go to our website, crescentcitychambermusicfestival.com. All the details and programs are on there. We have 3 more concerts like this. One this coming Sunday afternoon, broadcasting at 3 p.m. But if you're going to be watching football, which I imagine many people are, I kind of wish we were too, you can watch it later. These videos will remain posted on Facebook and YouTube indefinitely, so you'll be able to go on and watch them at another time. I would ask you to please consider supporting the Crescent City Chamber Music Festival, a 501c3 organization. All of our support comes from grants that we receive and contributions from generous individuals. You can see our list of contributors on our website as well. The 3 grants that we're grateful for this season, I mentioned before, are from the MoCA Foundation, from New Orleans Theater Association, and from the Mike and Lynn Coatney Family Foundation. Please consider supporting us. It's an amazing help, and it's 100% tax deductible. This week we will continue to do concerts like this, also play virtual concerts in nursing homes, hospitals, schools, and other helping organizations in the city. Doing it in a safely and socially responsible way during COVID. We hope you'll join us for more of these concerts. And I want to remind you that what happened tonight is 100% live. You're not going to see many classical music concerts online doing that now. You know, people pre-record them and they release them later and they fix little issues and things like that. This is 100% live, blemishes and all. You probably noticed in that piece that this little doohickey on my instrument, it's called a mute. We use it to change the color of the sound. It fell off my instrument and I had to hunt around for it for a second on stage. That sort of thing happens when you have live performance. But live performance is so important to us as musicians to feel like what we do is still of value, and also to feel that everything that's out there isn't manicured and spliced and fixed. That there is little imperfections here and there, but the music is the most important thing. So again, hope you enjoyed the program tonight. We hope to see you again on Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central. No pre-concert talk at that concert. It'll just be straight up start the music at 3 p.m. With Schubert's amazing string quintet and a world premiere of a new work by Mary Bianco. So we'll see you Sunday. Thanks for tuning in.